My dear Rafi, Ambassador Raphael Schutz, Israel Ambassador for the Holy See. Here in Rome, we are here in Rome. And I would like to ask you about the relationship between the State of Israel and the Holy See. What are the issues that you are working together, or the projects for the future that you have in mind for common work between Israel and the Holy See?
Dear Rabbi Skorka, my friend Abraham, it's a great pleasure to have this conversation. And it's also a very unique opportunity for me, being the Israeli ambassador to the Holy See, because within the diplomatic activity or within the scope of diplomatic roles, being an ambassador here is really special. I would argue that there are three main dimensions when we speak about Israel's relations with the Holy See, which are young relations. I mean, people should note that only as late as 1993 diplomatic relations between Israel and the Holy See were established. Of course, we have all the background, or if you would like, the baggage of the millennious relationship between Jews and Christians. And this is, of course, among those three, the most historic element in the relations, and arguably also the most complicated one because of the histories that we all know. I would argue that within my responsibilities as ambassador, the importance of this issue, the theological issue, the relations between the two religions, is not the first that I deal with on daily basis. It is usually dealt by or between or among the people of religion in the two sides, between rabbis on the Jewish side and between people of the church on the Christian side. There is an established dialogue between the chief rabbinate of Israel and the counterpart in the Holy See, which before COVID used to take place rotatingly in the Vatican and in Jerusalem. Since we entered into the world of pandemia, unfortunately it has been suspended. I hope very much that it will resume as soon as possible. This is one element. Okay? This is really an ocean that is being discussed by academics, by people of religion, by experts. It is not part of my daily work as ambassador of Israel. Second element is what I call, I may call it maybe in a special way, the unfinished symphony of the framework, of the protocolar framework, because when we signed the basic agreement on diplomatic relations back in 1993, we accorded to have two additional agreements. One is the legal personality agreement, and the other one is the economic financial agreement. For various reasons that I won't enter now, almost 30 years later, we still have not finished the work on these two agreements. So it leaves, in a way, a kind of unfinished business between Israel and the Holy See. Now, this depends a lot upon the opinion makers in the two sides, and I hope very much to be able to see within my tenure here, it is supposed to last till late 24, if not the conclusion, at least a substantial advancement in this issue. Which brings me to, I would say, the third element, which I allow myself to say is a little bit innovative, in the sense that what I'm trying to do most of my time, I'm relatively new here, we speak now in January, and I arrived 3 months ago, and only less than 2 months ago since I've presented my credentials to His Holiness the Pope. But in this period of time, it has crystallized in my understanding that what we should do together, the Holy See and Israel, is working towards the goals and issues that the Pope has time and again mentioned as most important for him, and not only for him, but I would argue for humanity. Because the challenges today, the Pope said so, and he is very right in what he said. It's manifested in Laudato Si and in Fratelli Tutti, but people who do not know those documents, these are documents that relate to everyday problem of big parts of the humanity, of basically everybody. If we are speaking about climate change, about sustainability, about helping the needy, about using technology wisely, about developing solidarity beyond borders.
About the future of the world.
Exactly.
And humanity in the world.
Exactly, and the challenges today that we face are so big that no single country, of course not a single person, can deal with them on their own. And this is why we need to look for ways to join hands and make a joint effort. And I sincerely believe that Israel can or has a lot to offer, has a lot, can bring a lot to the table. Coming back to this wonderful ceremony of presenting credentials to Pope Franciscus, I've presented to the Pope two, let's say, gifts. One was a box of 5 kilos of dates, dátiles in Spanish, and these dates are being grown in the desert, in the Negev, in the south of Israel. They are being cultivated by recycled water. And they are a perfect demonstration of sustainability and making the desert flourish. In short, in a capsule, what the world needs today. Innovation and working outside the known boxes in order to make food for everybody, in order to use water wisely. And these are very strong points in Israel. The second gift was a pair of football shoes, or soccer as you say it in the United States, blue and white, that are the colors of the national team of Israel, of course also of Israel, and with the words hope and peace and solidarity on them in Hebrew, Arabic, Italian and English. Now, I did that not only because both His Holiness and myself are very avid football fans, but also because the Israeli national team is composed out of Jewish, Christian and Muslim players. And it's a very good example to how people who have differences can nevertheless work together for the same goals. And again, this is totally in the spirit of Fratelli Tutti. So this is basically what I hope to do here. Of course, to use every opportunity to develop this relationship, to make both Israel and Judaism better known to everybody. And at the end of the day, when I will conclude here after 3 years, I hope to be able to say that I made some kind of difference here.
My dear Ambassador, thank you so much for your time, for your explanations. We are recording this for Graz College, the first Jewish college in the United States. And the idea is to show a different facet of the dialogue, quotation signs, between Jews and Christians. And one really is a complement for the other, because the idea is not only to analyze theologically the other in order to understand the other, but the idea is also to develop great projects together for the deep reason and the deep purpose of the Catholic and the Jewish being, which is to give a real contribution for the building of a better reality, a better world. רב תודות על זמנך, על דבריך ועל כל מה שלמדנו מתוך דבריך. כל טוב, שפע.